I guess when I saw that topic, I was thinking about my contribution, because in my contribution, there is a focus on the stories of people's experiences with different types of materials. And for me, um, just to explain, it's a kind of oral history. So oral history meaning that we can record the stories of our elders, people who have memories and a knowledge, and then that can happen through writing. It can happen through making the objects themselves. But I like to use the audio recording as a way to capture their voice and their own feelings about some of their experiences. And we all have these experiences because basically, material culture changes over time, and especially now it changes very quickly. So for me, the social justice angle is to be able to record this history that's changing so quickly. And it's not the kind of history that, they write news about. It's not like politicians and revolution. It's actually like small everyday life activities are also very important for us to remember the way we lived our lives, or the way we do live our lives every day. Historians will want to know about that, but they don't write about it in, regular news or television or whatever. So by talking to people, you can collect these memories. And so that, I guess for me, that's the social justice angle, is a focus on the everyday life of people who don't usually, they're not celebrities or somehow have a big profile, but their lived experience is really important for us to pay attention to. Well, a lot of older people, they aren't on the internet as much as we are and sharing our life on social media. But I also mean that when we think about this, what's important, we don't think about like certain craft materials or textiles. Maybe we get some story about new technology and something very, everybody's focused on digital media, but if we don't record the stories now, we will not have that record of them. So I guess I just mean people who are they don't have as much attention from the media. And so like we as artists can help to document that. A couple things. So about the recording on the website, I guess that came, so the list of questions, or the whole concept of even recording these kinds of stories or responses to those questions came out of doing this residency. I don't think I was really working on such a thing before. I applied for the residency and I joined, and then I realized that, I don't have a practice like some of the other artists that is very focused in a particular material or a particular process like weaving. My practice is very focused on, it has a lot of connections with nonfiction and documentary. I do a lot of performance, and I often like consult or kind of like am inspired by archives or the media kind of repository of all of our cultures. So I guess when I came up with the list of questions, it was out of this desire to connect with the themes of the residency, also using some of the techniques I already use, like making audio recordings as part of my documentary practice. And I think you're right that I'm not sure how successful a website with a audio recorder on it could be. And in that case, I see it as a prototype for thinking about how to take this further, to do this more. I would love to sit down with people on a platform like this, like we are doing now, and record interviews individually. If there's interest in that, I can, there's also a way to, you could do it on a telephone. You don't need, because it's audio focused, maybe I don't need to have the video part. And also maybe one way to distribute the process is to have workshops where other people are trained to do it with their, just using their phone as the recorder. And then they can have a direct connection with people in their community and make those, because for me, the interview or the conversation is also something I benefit from. I'm gratified, and I feel like I'm a part of my art process is that I just love learning. And so when I am talking to someone, I'm learning directly from them. Well, of course, originally I just wrote the questions in English, and then I asked Ray to help me translate, because I felt like, well, because this residency was meant to be a connection between all the artists from all around the world and our hosts who are in Taiwan. That's why I guess before this time I had not done any work in your country. So I think this is a new place for me to learn about, and I think there's an interesting, I guess for me it's also interesting that our climate is the climate of where I live and the climate of where you are is similar, so similar kinds of plants can grow here, and then that means that maybe in terms of the land and the kind of materials used for like fibers and things like that, there's a potential there too, but maybe that's a different project. So yes, I am new to learning about Taiwan, and that's part of what attracted me to this residency also, is not just the theme of it, but that, I wanted to meet people and to hear what you all were doing, if that answers your question. I don't know. It's not, I guess it feels like it's not very deep, but I have traveled in other parts of Asia, but I don't see, like, to me, it's like every place is very special and distinct and like unique, and I can't say that I had some connection before. And it is embedded in the larger project I'm working on, which is called Oil Ancestors, which is, it includes this residency, but it also includes this performance that I'm doing this month, and it has another component. So it's kind of like a larger umbrella of research around petroleum scapes and the ways in which petroleum, oil is so directly embedded in every aspect of our lives. And so for me, that connects with the material cultures of craft that the residency was looking at, because, there are these materials that come from the land, from plants that we grow and harvest and process and create things from. And then there are these materials like, synthetics, plastics, but also nylon and spandex and all these other materials that are so special to this time, to this century, to this, like, the 20th, 21st century, and have allowed us to do so many amazing things. Like, I can't imagine living in a world without it, but also it's interesting to think about the relationship between these kinds of materials. And like, so that's kind of the bigger picture of the Oil Ancestors project and how these questions are embedded inside of that project.